Hey everybody, it's Never, and I want to talk about something that's happening tomorrow, which is Blizzcon. Specifically about how to enjoy Blizzcon. Seems like a strange thing to me to make a video about, but I can see that there may be a need for it out there. Enjoying BlizzCon comes down to a couple of things. So this year has been kind of difficult for Blizzard from everything I've been able to see, and the hints that I've seen are making it look like it's going to be a pretty big deal, BlizzCon. A lot of stuff probably being announced, and I'm not going to get very spoilery in this video, so don't worry about that, but I want to talk about what you can do and what I am doing to make sure that I enjoy BlizzCon as much as possible. So enjoying something comes down to how your expectations are met or how they are not met. So let's talk about what expectations are and what that means. Your expectations are the things that you think are going to happen. That's pretty straightforward. And how much or the way in which those are met will determine how good of a time you have. Let's say that you're going to go to a new restaurant. It's some really great taco and burrito place, and you're going to give that a try. You've never been there before, and all your friends say, "Oh, it's so good. It's amazing, it tastes delicious, and you really have to try it." And so they hype it up for you, and you're thinking, okay, this is pretty good. And so what do you start thinking? You start thinking, well, this is probably going to be really good food. And that would be a pretty sensible thing to think. And then you try it, and it's just not for you. You don't like it. And so that would lead a lot of people to being disappointed, because what you were expecting didn't happen. And that's no fault of the actual food. The fault lies with your friends and with you, because your friends, they were projecting their opinions and their experience and expectations onto you, and you just went with it. So keep that in mind. The other thing that can happen is, let's say you're going in and you're going to go see a movie. Like, one happened to me. I went to see Solo, the Star Wars movie that Ron Howard made. And I was expecting it to be really, really bad, because that's what everyone had said, is that it was really bad. And I went in it, tried to keep an open mind, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. And so I went in there, I was pleasantly surprised that it was so good. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do that legitimately. Because what ends up happening most of the time is, if you set yourself expectations that are too low, you know it, and you know you're just kind of trying to fool yourself. So you don't want to do that. So when we're going into BlizzCon, your expectations usually come from a place of emotion, because we're talking about games. We're talking about something that we do for our recreation. And so the expectations that we have are not logical. They're not rational. They're emotional. And those behave a little differently, because they don't hold themselves to the same scrutiny and rules that your expectations for something like your paycheck or the performance in your car. Those are expectations that are rational, because they're very absolute things, and they're very measurable. So what would make expectations be good and fulfilled? Well, it's when the things that you're looking for in the game, when they meet the needs that you have from a game. So what do we have? What kind of needs do we have from games? There's a few things, and they're pretty simple. One is that we want to feel a sense of autonomy. We want to feel like we're in control of something, and that the things we do change the outcome or have an influence on it. We want to feel a sense of competency. We want to feel like we're good at the game, that when we play, we are able to do things that are a little above average. The game is designed to make every player feel like they're a little above average. And some people really are. But most of us, believe it or not, the way that average works is half of the players out there are below it. And the last thing that I'll mention that it does is it gives us a sense of social validation. So when we're playing the game, since there's other people involved in it, if I've got something really cool, like if I look on my achievements and I go over here to feat of strength, oh my goodness, this is a pretty amazing feat of strength. This one is too. Or if I go to here, this one is pretty good too. And so by having those things, I can show people that I have those. I can link those achievements, and I feel like, yeah, I'm pretty cool for having those. Not everyone does. In fact, a couple of those in there, it's like less than 2% of the player base has those. So odds are 99 or 98 people out of 100 that I meet don't have that. And so that can make you feel pretty cool. And so that's one of the things that we get fulfillment from in games. And so our expectations are built around the emotional attachment we have to those fulfillments. And so when we are looking for things in BlizzCon, when we're even subconsciously building up our expectations, we want our experience in one or more of those ways to improve. So what would make most of us happy in BlizzCon is if we come away from it and we see things that make us feel like, yeah, I'm going to have better control over my character and what happens to him, more story choices or better customization. The choices are going to be better and they're going to mean more to me. That's one thing that would make it really good. Another thing that would make it really good is the way that I play my class, the mechanics of playing my class or of playing the outdoor world or some boss fight or something. Those are going to be more engaging, more interesting, and I'm going to feel like I'm better at playing the game because of the way that I'm able to handle these new mechanics. And so that's really good. And that right there is one of the reasons why stuff like this is so hateable and why people dislike it so much, is because it's just banging your head against the wall. There's no real competency to the Heart of Azeroth. The competency is just how much time you've been able to dump at it. And so it doesn't give you a sense of fulfillment with the way that it works. And that's one of the problems with it. And then, or it could be that there's better social features. Like one of the things that they may do is they may blur or soften the faction dividing lines a little bit more. And so if we do that, then we can interact with people in the other faction, and that would open up some more grouping opportunities and things like that. And that would be things like, okay, my social validation just got better, and there's a lot more that I can do interacting with people from the other faction instead of just with my own faction. So those sort of things would be really good, and they would meet your expectation. And so usually if Blizzard came out and made any one of those significantly better, most people's expectations would be met. But if we sit and talk about it, and this is where the speculation gets dangerous, if we sit here and speculate about, well, how would I design the expansion? What do I think should happen? Then you're painting this perfect, impossible picture of how things could be for your point of view. And it'll never meet that. And so you're setting yourself up for disappointment almost invariably. And so the thing that you need to do, or the thing that I would do to make sure that you enjoy BlizzCon, is you manage your expectations. And you've probably heard that a lot before, and you may even be rolling your eyes at it. But managing your expectation means stepping back a little bit and saying, okay, if I could change the game, if I was king of the world and Blizzard was a privately owned company and I was in charge of it, and I had an unlimited budget to change World of Warcraft, and everything I thought of could be perfectly implemented, what sort of stuff would I do? Everybody who plays the game and really cares about what's going on has probably thought about, what would it be like? How would I change the game if I was in charge of it and it would just go the way I want it to? I could make a 10-hour long video talking about stuff like that. But that doesn't mean it would actually work, and it doesn't mean that everyone would be happy with it. It just means that I would be happy with it, or at least that I think I would be happy with it, because it turns out a lot of times we're wrong about that too. And so if I'm trying to compare what really happens at BlizzCon with that, then I'm never going to be happy with it, because the reality is always going to be disappointing in comparison to my fantasy view of what World of Warcraft's change should be. So take a step back from your imagination, from your fantasy, and take a look at, okay, what have they done in the past? What have past expansions done? How have they changed things? Okay, let's take a look at Warlords of Draenor. Coming away from Mists of Pandaria to Warlords of Draenor, what sort of stuff did we get? We got some minor class redesign, which was not good, but we also got some things like the appearance collection system and the toy box and stuff like that. Things that are easy to forget about because they're kind of background systems and you get used to them. But I mean, those are really, really good things. And so if we look at it more objectively, we remember some of the things that we can forget. New character models was another thing with Warlords of Draenor that I still really appreciate. And so it's easy to remember the things that you don't like or that are a problem because they're always in your face reminding you. But if we step back and we look at it more carefully, more objectively, then we think, okay, maybe with this expansion, what sort of things might they do? I mentioned the blurring of the faction lines. That's one that they could do that would be pretty cool. I think most people would enjoy that. Another thing they could do is some of the stuff that they've alluded to. Removal of Titan Forging. They're already doing that for 8.3, but maybe they'll go a little farther and take some more randomness out of the game. A lot of people would like that, but I can't see them doing that because that kind of goes against what they've done historically. So I'm not going to be sitting around expecting that one. All right, what about more character customization? They've said they want to do that. Now would be a pretty good time to do it. So yeah, that would be a good one to have at least some expectation for. So that would be one to maybe get a little excited about. And the story, there's a lot of different ways that the story can go, and so we could start getting our hopes up a little bit about that. But my point is, make some expectations about things that you think are kind of likely, and then decide to yourself, because believe it or not, people have the ability to make decisions like this. Decide to yourself that of all the things that I think are likely to happen, maybe there's 5 of them. If I get 1 or 2 of them, that's pretty good, because then at least things are better than they were. Then I've got something to look forward to, and maybe something new that I never expected. Might seem weird at first, but once I actually try it, it might be really cool. Kind of like pet battles. When Mists of Pandaria was announced and we were looking into that, I didn't care beans for pet battles. It didn't interest me at all. I've never really gotten Pokemons. But I actually really enjoy doing pet battles. And it doesn't make me want to go play Pokemons, but I enjoy it in this context. So sometimes you can come around to something. So to wrap it all up and to the TLDR is, if you want to enjoy BlizzCon, manage your expectations. Don't try and compare your fantasy version of what World of Warcraft should be to what's actually likely to happen. Instead, think about what do you think is realistic, and then decide that if you get 1 or 2 of the things that you're hoping for, that's a really good reason to be happy. That's a way to be pretty satisfied with what they do. And if they do more than that, great. But if they do less than that, which, if we're realistic, probably won't happen. They'll probably at least get 1 or 2 of the things that most people want. Then if they get less than that, that's unfortunate, but maybe there'll be something in there that you end up liking more than you thought you would. And worst case scenario, take a break from the game and come back some other time, or just enjoy what's already there that you have, because if you're still playing, you're playing for a reason. So with BlizzCon coming up, make sure that you take the time to give yourself the most enjoyment out of it possible, because what would you rather end up with tomorrow? Would you rather end up with not getting everything you want but being okay with it, or would you rather end up with really, really hoping that things go the way you want them to and probably not getting it at all and being so disappointed? Your ability to be disappointed, or to be kind of meh but okay, or to be really, really thrilled, it is all inside your hands. You have the power to choose it based on the type of expectations that you create. So make some realistic expectations and enjoy the new stuff. Let yourself be a little kid again. If you're not, some of you probably are, and that's fine. Let yourself be a little kid again, and just let the newness and the excitement of something get you hyped up a little bit. It is okay. You don't have to let all the forums and everyone else's opinion tarnish the things that you might enjoy. I really enjoyed the movie Solo. From what I understand, most people didn't. And I don't care, because I enjoyed it. And so then it's a good thing for me. And if someone else didn't enjoy it, that's okay. They don't have to watch it. It's so much better to have one more thing that you can enjoy, even if everyone else hates it, than to always be getting on the bandwagon of dissatisfaction. So I'll probably be talking to you a little bit about what we see at BlizzCon after it happens, and sharing my thoughts and opinions about it. And if I have time, I will make another video talking about what I think will happen, and then maybe, if I have a lot of time, about what I would like to happen, and show you some of my fantasy view of where I think the game could go that would be really good for it or really fun. Anyway, that's what I've got for this video, and we'll see you after BlizzCon, or maybe a little before. Okay, thanks, bye.